Hello vinyl community, hello record collectors and friends all around the world. Today I'm gonna talk about psychedelic music from the 80s. Yes, when you think about psychedelic music, you often think about the late 60s. It all kind of started in 1966, and by the end of 1968 it was almost over. After that, other types of music came, like hard rock and progressive rock and singer-songwriters and glam rock and stuff like that was going on in the 70s. So in the mid-70s, psychedelic music was totally dead. No one listened to it. It wasn't on the charts, or no big labels wanted to touch it. But there was still some psychedelic music being recorded, especially in the underground and with the private presses in America. There came quite a lot of psychedelic music, but it wasn't on the big labels or on the charts. But in the 80s it kind of changed, because psychedelic music was coming up again with a new generation of musicians that started bands that were like looking back at Sgt. Pepper and trying to do psychedelic music again, but with a more 80s style to it all. But still it was a thing for the underground, for the indie labels. It wasn't on the charts. I mean, we listened to hair metal or synth pop or We Are the World or all those kind of 80s stuff that was dominating the charts. We had MTV. So this psychedelic music was just for the underground, for the indie labels, never been seen on MTV or anything like that. So today I'm gonna focus on psychedelic music recorded in the 80s and released. Let's just dig into this Tripping in the 80s episode. Okay, we're gonna start with a band from the America. It's the Salvation Army with their self-titled album that came out in 1982 on a small label called Frontier Records. And as you can see, this is a wonderful psychedelic album cover. And this band, they were quite young when they did this, but it has some raw garage psych energy. They used like pitched up vocals and backwards guitars, and they had a lot of those psychedelic attributes to their music. This is a US pressing that came out with these labels. Kind of psychedelic looking label there. And this band, they had to change their name from Salvation Army. They couldn't call themselves Salvation Army because of some legal stuff. So they changed their name to the 3 O'Clocks, and the 3 O'Clocks became quite successful. We had some hits and were kind of a important band to the whole Paisley Underground scene. But this is their first one when they called themselves Salvation Army. The Mind Gardens is a great song, and I'm gonna play a little sample of She Turns to Flowers, the opening track. That is a killer song. Next up we go to England, and the same year, 1982, and this is a really great single by Nick Nicely called Hilly Fields, 1892. And this is kind of a mysterious single because no one really knew who Nick Nicely were. He just released this single and I think maybe one more single or just a couple of more singles before he left music in the 80s. Then apparently when I read online, he became an important figure with like acid house and started to do dance music in the 90s. But this was 1982 and he recorded this super great psychedelic single with two great songs. We have the Hilly Fields 1892, that was the A-side, and the B-side is called 49 Cigars. And here he has used a lot of synths and 80s productions, but it sounds like Syd Barrett had wrote the songs. And it's really this kind of trippy 80s synth pop psych music. I'm gonna play you the B-side, 49 Cigars. That's a wild song. Sounds a bit like Syd Barrett had a baby with a malfunctioning synth from the 80s. And has this beautiful, like, saturated 80s psych pop. I don't know really how to describe it. Just listen to it. It's a great one.
We saw you on the shore, under the hill, under the trees, under garage eyes, see me cry.
It's a Euro pressing from the Netherlands. I also have it on a UK press, but this was like mint condition, so I'm keeping it. And this is really cheap single. You can find it for like 10 euros or so. But it's well worth the money because it's a great two-sider, and if you dig psych music, you should have it in your collection. Next up is one of my favorite albums from the 80s, and it's a Rain Parade with their album Emergency Third Rail Power Trip. This is just a fantastic album. This is a US press released on the Enigma labels. This band was of course associated with the Paisley Underground. But it's so much more than just Paisley Underground. It's a really, really great LP with great songs. It's more melancholic maybe, more lush and like filled with like dreamy melodies and reverb and 12-string guitars. So it's just a fantastic album and probably one of my favorites from this era. And what's interesting with this is that it features David Roback, who later became famous with Massey Star. He formed Massey Star together with Hope Sandoval, but this was one of his first bands that he did with his brother Stephen Roback and a couple of other dudes from, I think they were from LA. So many great songs to choose from here, but I think we can listen to This Can't Be Today. So before David Roback went on to form Massey Star, he formed another band called Opal. This is their LP Happy Nightmare Baby that came out in 1987. This came out on the Torso label or Rough Trade, not really sure, it says Torso Rough Trade here. And this is a EU pressing from 1987. On this LP he had teamed up with Kendra Smith, who played in Dream Syndicate, so they were a duo, maybe with a couple of more people in it, but at least there are just two of them on the front cover. So this is before he started Massey Star. Actually, Hope Sandoval replaced her, and I'm not sure if they did something with under the name Opal with Hope Sandoval, but they later changed name to Massey Star, and of course that is a big hit from the 90s. But this is a great LP, very druggy, very psychedelic, and it has some really cool songs. And I'm gonna play a song called Magic Power. When we talk about the 80s and indie music, I of course have to show something from Flying Nun and New Zealand. And this is a band called The Rip. And this one came out in 1987. Great artwork here. The custom labels. Looks like this. So this EP is called Stormport, and it's mainly recorded by this guy called Alistair Galbraith. Galbraith, I don't know how to pronounce it, but he basically recorded himself. He got a little help from a couple of other guys, but it's very home recorded and lo-fi, and it's totally dreamlike and beautiful acoustic guitars and electric guitars, and the music just flows. I just love how it flows. So this is a bit of a favorite of mine from the Flying Nun label. I will probably show this when me and Dom is gonna do the second part of our Flying Nun conversation that we did. It was really fun to do, to talk about our favorite label from New Zealand. Let's listen to the opening track, River Chasm. Beautiful song.
River chasm bridged with a star and water light, an ancient inexplicable pain and desire rises up, wells in me higher than the rise, shows me beauty and truth to deny myself.
I often show stuff from New Zealand, but let's not forget about Australia. And here we have a perfect psych single from a band called the Moffs that came out in 1985. And it's called Another Day in the Sun. And this is just a superb psychedelic indie track that actually I think it reached #1 on the Australian indie chart. So it was kind of a big hit. And this is also an easy one to get, and it's not very pricey. But it's a great song. Really great song. Came out on the cool Citadel label. The cool Australian label. What's interesting with this is, even though it was a #1 hit single on the indie charts, the first 2 minutes are instrumental before they even start to sing. Great guitars, just long guitar music, and then when they start to sing, it sounds like Galaxy 500, tons of reverb, and just beautiful, beautiful song. Another Day in the Sun by the Moffs, a killer song. Back to England and to the frontman from Soft Boys, Robyn Hitchcock, and his debut album called Black Snake Diamond Roll, or Röle, with 2 dots over the O there. Came out on Armageddon Records in 1981. And Robyn Hitchcock, he had been really successful with the Soft Boys, one of my favorite bands. and but this is his first solo album he did after leaving Soft Boys. And this is not as great as Soft Boys, but it's still a really solid record. And he's a bit of like a psychedelic poet. Did a lot of psych music in the 80s, and obviously very influenced by Syd Barrett and his songwriting. He did some covers of Syd Barrett's songs as well. But this is a really charming record. Some pop songs here and some more psychedelic songs. Came with this insert. Cool one. And on the Armageddon labels. Looks like this and like this. And this is a UK pressing from 1981. Robyn Hitchcock, he's still active. I think he played this record together with the band Yo La Tengo in 2017 or 18 when they toured in America. They played songs from this record and other songs, so it must have been really cool live show to go see Yo La Tengo as the backing band for Robyn Hitchcock. I'm gonna play you a song called Acid Bird, first track on the B-side, and it's a beautiful song, a little bit of a live favorite for him, and it has these jangly guitars, but it also has this kind of wobbly tape thing going on, not intentionally, I think. It's just he recorded it on tape and got this like really 80s wow flutter VHS kind of vibe to it, also with this old synth that made it a really cool saturated sound. Yeah, cool LP from Robyn Hitchcock.
Walking through the fields in summer heat. Look at all the creatures round your feet. Pumping blood, the mother gave, the mother gave. White ointment of an acid kiss that burned upon the lips she gave you so long ago.
Last but not least, one of my favorite psych records from the 80s, and it's this Perfect Prescription by Spacemen 3, their 1987 record. And this is absolutely fantastic album cover. They're closing their eyes and they're just playing their guitars. It's fantastic. I love this photo. And this is a really druggy, minimalistic and drony kind of psych music that they did. They were of course influenced by Velvet Underground and the Stooges and bands like that. So they mainly guitar-based music with very trippy productions. And the band was formed by Sonic Boom and Jason Pierce. Jason Pierce, who later went on to form Spiritualized and had a long successful career with that band. But this is 1987 and I think it's their finest album. Maybe the album after this, Playing with Fire, is equally good. Really cool one. And they didn't use many chords. They used to jam on maybe one or two chords. And they were, as I said, influenced by Lou Reed. And they do a great cover here of Ode to Street Hustle. It's like a tribute to the Lou Reed song Street Hustle. And that is a superb and great song. But they didn't use many chords, so they lived a little bit like Lou Reed were saying. You know, one chord is fine, two chords you're pushing it, three chords you're into jazz. And they really felt that way. So they played very minimalistic and drony psych music, and this one is fantastic. I'm gonna play a song called Calm Down Easy from the B-side. I think it's a Jason Pierce song, and it's a great one from 1987.
1987, all I wanna do is fly.
Yes, that was some of my psychedelic music from the 80s. I have more in my collection, and I really like to explore the 80s music when it comes to psychedelic music. You know, I've been listening to the 60s stuff from the UK and the US and elsewhere, but the 80s stuff is a little bit of more new territory, a lot of new bands to discover, not a lot of new artists and labels and cool stuff like that. So I'm really enjoying finding psych music from the 80s. So if you have some suggestions, I want you to put it down in a comment, give a little back, and I'd like to hear what you have to say about this. But it was fun to do this video, and I will come up with more themed videos like this. And I'm also hoping to do a follow-up to me and Seeking a Thread, Dom, our video about the Flying Nun, when we talked and showed about the early Flying Nun records. I hope we can do a second video where we focus on 1984 to 1987 and the records from that period that we have in our collections. Yeah, I also want to thank everybody who has subscribed. I really appreciate you guys putting down comments and subscribing and watching my videos. So until next time, I hope you enjoy your summer. I hope you have a wonderful time, and I hope you still have some time to play some records and listen to music and discover new music, maybe like what you have done here today. So take care out there, and peace out.